Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emanuel, I'm a 737 pilot and a member of PMDG's tech team. Today we're going to fly my very first flight with the TBM 930 using the Aircraft and Avionics update. This is going to be a very short hop from Shutdown in Switzerland towards Bourges, also in Switzerland. A short 30-minute flight across the Swiss Alps. So let's head right into the aircraft and let's have a little bit of fun. We'll start our engine straight away so that we don't run the risk of draining the battery. So let's go ahead. The ignition is auto, boost pumps on, and that is already everything we need to do. Strobe lights are on, so starting engine number 1. And G is increasing. %, throttle to low idle. Okay, the engine's running. On towards high idle. Starter off, ignition auto, boost pumps auto and auto. Trim can come on. And our anti and de-icing. Separator on, stall heater on, windshield heat on. Bleed air system on. And let's enter our FMS. So, as I said, just a very quick flight across the Alps. Basic weight, no changes. We are carrying a single passenger at 170 pounds. And fuel on board can simply be synchronized. That is it already. So, departing Shutdown towards Bourges, which has a very, very nice approach, by the way. And we'll do the Pelav 1 Victor departure. And we'll fly Zulu 50 towards So let's see what we have in our route now. We have a payload departure, Zulu 50 SOPA, November 851 Elmore, Lima 603 Repos, direct to Avionics. And we have the ANAF approach. That is pretty much all we need in here, and that is pretty much all we can enter in here. Quick check of the aircraft system. Fuel is looking good. Electrical power is looking good. General, we have the probe and windshield anti-ice on. Nothing to do on the weight and balance, and the lighting set to 100%. Heatbox, we'll put them all on. Rotate at 90, climb at 124 until we are clear of the terrain. And that is everything we needed to do over here. Initial climb, flight level 160. And here we go. QNH 1006, and finally we can nav mode and level change, and we'll switch that up to 124 knots, which is going to be our target climb speed. Okay then, we are ready to go. Let's go. Park and brake hidden down here. Taxi light on, park brake off. And off we go. We'll try not to kill any of the equipment right in front of us. So, light winds, as we can see from the windsock, about 5 knots down on runway 21. And we are clear on the left, clear on the right. This is quite snowy up here, we rather taxi slow. Normally, contaminated surfaces, maximum taxi speed should be a 5 knots, and this is definitely contaminated. Okay, let's do a takeoff briefing then. This is going to be a left seat takeoff on the runway 21. Flaps will be in the takeoff position, but we'll only extend them by the time we get to the runway, because otherwise the chance of contaminating them is just too high. Okay, let's have a quick look into our departure and what we are about to fly then, and we'll do that using the Navigraph charts, as we can see down here. And this is where we're taxiing right now. We've crossed the runway, we're now heading northbound here towards runway 21, and our departure is the Payload 1 Victor departure. We have that on a chart 10-3 Bravo, effective 24th of March. Transition altitude 16,000 feet. Maintain visual ground contact up to 10,600. Departure clearance includes the clearance to leave and re-enter controlled airspace. Contact Alps radar when instructed. Contingency procedures must be provided by the operator, and the pilot must have them available. And close-in obstacles do exist, which are pretty high as well. Speed maximum 210 knots, but we don't expect to go that fast anyway. So, caution, part of the procedure is leading through airspace class Echo and Golf. VFR traffic without radio communications and without transponder must be expected. Airspace class Echo up to flight level 150. So, initial climb clearance 16,000 feet, and that is set on our PFD as well already. And for the routing then, we climb straight ahead to the departure end of runway, and then to a slight right turn by approximately 10 degrees until Zulu Sierra 510. So looking into the box, departure end of runway, Zulu Sierra 510, which is an overfly waypoint, as we can see over here. And then we're going to make a right-hand turn towards Zulu Sierra 511, and that is 511 over here. And thereafter it's going to be 036, 10.3 miles towards Pelat, which we have in here, and Pelat is maximum 210 knots above 16,000 feet. Our planned cruise level for today is 180, and I will keep the airspeed at the best rated climb speed so that we can hopefully take an early direct to the right hand side as soon as we have cleared the mountains. Do you have any questions on the departure briefing? Well, probably not, so we can get rid of the charts. So, lights are on, anti-ice is not required. Actually, anti-ice is required, at least for ground operations. So we'll turn the propeller de-ice on to avoid contamination buildup. Okay then, we are on the runway, we are ready for departure. Let's extend the flaps. And then we are fully ready to go. Okay then, start the timer. And take off. Thrust set. Speed alive. 60 knots. Rotate. Gear up. Flaps up. Okay, yaw damper on, autopilot on. And we are clear of any possible icing on the propeller, so propeller de-ice off. My primary concern there was that we could have picked up a little bit of ice on the runway and could have that attached to the propeller. So since we are clear of the runway now, and there is no further icing conditions over here, we can turn the anti-ice off. Oh, getting a bit too warm there. Okay. That's better. And as soon as we are clear of the mountains, we are going to do the right-hand turn. And that is going to cut our route significantly shorter. Passing 10,000, but we are still within airspace class Echo. So I'm going to keep the lights on for now. And we're becoming clear of the terrain. Let's go direct to... let's see what we have here. Expand that, please. Let's go direct to Marnik. And activate. Climb all the way to cruise level 180. That. We've cleared all the terrain. Let's accelerate to an en route climb speed here of 160 knots. So, inertial separator off, that is going to give us a little bit of extra power as well. Reaching maximum torque there, reducing power. Okay, that's better. Oh, let's quickly change our map over here. Because I am missing my little inset window, like this. That is much better. Transition altitude, set standard, passing 16.5, climbing 18. That is set once, twice, and 3 times. Vertical speed plus 1000. This is the standard height of the view in the TBM cockpit, but I have to say I much prefer this, where I can see a tiny bit of the front of my airplane. It's much nicer to fly like this. It's just a little bit annoying that whenever my view is reset, it brings me back down. Okay, we've reached our cruising level of 180. Then up here we can turn the lights off as well. So pulse lights and landing lights off. And with that said and done, we can already head over to our approach chart and have a look into the approach preparation. You can see we have just about 6 minutes remaining until our top of descent. So looking over there, we are expecting a different approach, to call it like this. So our routing leads us all the way to Ronak over here, or to Ronix, and from there we will fly the RMP approach that leads us via Zulu Charlie 700, 701 and Q6 to waypoint 760, and from there we have the visual approach into Buoch's airport. So we'll fly around the terrain up here, fly again around the terrain up here, and then we'll turn final for about a 2-mile final. And since it is winter at the moment, I do expect quite some parts of that lake to be frozen over, and since there is no visual approach aids available, as we can see down here on the chart, warning, puppies in use for military purpose, the system cannot be used by civil aircraft. Therefore, we are going to experience quite a challenge there, with our approach height being very difficult to judge. But there will be a quick and dirty fix for that, and that we can use our G3000 and our Birdie and align the 2.5 degree angle on the destination runway, and that is going to help us to get the airplane down. But that's a little trick that we will talk over again when we are in the approach. In the meantime, let's quickly check that the data we have in our computer is actually correct. So we'll start on the flight plan with the VNAV page, and VNAV is enabled on a 3-degree path. That is all we know already. So the approach starts, first of all, the procedure is limited to pilots operating for Pilatus Aircraft Limited. We are doing this today. Starting at Avionics, max 180 knots and at 6,000 feet, that is in. Be aware that the G3000 here does not have any speed guidance available, so we have to handle the speed ourselves. From there it's going to be 129 degrees, 3.6 miles to Zulu Charlie 700, maximum 150 knots, that is over here. Thereafter 181, 2 miles, Zulu Charlie 701 in here, and that one is above 4,500 feet. So we can get rid of this restriction. And thereafter we'll fly in 216, 2.7 miles towards Q6. That's 215, 2.7 to Q6. Good enough for me. And Q6 is at 4,500 feet. 0.4 miles thereafter we'll start our descent on a 4-degree path, and we will be doing something between 120 to 140 knots. So that means around about 900 feet a minute rate of descent is going to keep us right on the path. And we have a couple of check altitudes up here as well, which we do need to take care of. And that is leading us towards Zulu Charlie 760, which is the missed approach point. In case of missed approach, we overfly the waypoint 760, and then it's a right-hand turn towards Zulu Charlie 752, maximum 150 knots. And in here we have 752. Then right again 038, 5.6 miles, which we have in here, Zulu Charlie 753. And thereafter it's a right turn, 082, 9.3 miles towards Ronix, and we climb to an altitude of 6,000 feet. Speed limit 150 knots until we have completed the turn at waypoint 752. And the procedure is applicable in daylight only, and we do have daylight conditions indeed. Then our minimums for the approach, we have it down here, 2280. Enter, and that is pretty much all we need. Okay, and that is our complete approach preparation. Quick look into the visual approach chart then. Procedure limited to pilots operating for Pilatus Aircraft Limited. Maximum 135 knots. We need to abide that. And we leave waypoint 760 on the current heading. Fly around the Hertenstein, and then it's a left turn. Following that lake on 090 degrees. And then make a right hand turn just about over that little piece of land over there onto the final approach. There are a couple of visual cues over there which we can use, and that's really all we need. Okay, we are going to land on runway 24, vacate to the right hand side, and then we will taxi via Delta all the way to the Pilatus aircraft parking. And that's it. Do you have any questions? No questions, as always. Very good. So, with that done, we can prepare for our descent, and indeed we are already approaching our descent path here. So let's set that altitude down, VNAV, and then VNAV is going to guide us down. We'll set the altitude all the way down to 100 initially, and then we'll probably get a further descent later on. Transition altitude in Bourgs is not as high as it is in Summedan, therefore we can remain on standard altimeter for now. And we have VNAV path capture, starting to pitch down. We'll let the airplane accelerate, that way we get to our destination a tiny bit faster. And as we are flying, it is worth it just taking a quick look outside, really. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, enough time just looking at the nice visuals. It's time to get back to work, because we do have an aircraft to fly. And we have about half the flight done, so let's have a quick look into the fuel tanks, because we're currently using fuel only from the left tank. So let's switch that over to the right tank down here. That way, with around half the flight done, we should hopefully get approximately equal fuel on landing. One thing to note here is the landing field elevation. For some reason, it does not look to me like we can set that anywhere down here, so that probably means that the computer has to find its own way to set that. Here you can see the button for landing field elevation is actually grayed out at the moment. As we're descending, the air is getting denser, therefore the torque increases, and you just saw it slightly in the amber range there, so I've just reduced it a little bit. So, if we look closely, we can already see where our destination is roughly going to be. Just about over there, behind the mountains. And look at this, half the lakes are frozen over. Then again, we've had a temperature of -9 degrees on our departure from Shutdown. And the temperature here at Bourges is, well, a little bit warmer, but still 0 degrees at the moment. Okay, approaching 10,000, let's go all the way down to 6. We are clear of the mountains over here. Set 6,000 is checked, and set altimeter 1007. Set passing 10.3, descending 6,000, no flags, standby altimeter set. And here's the little trick for flying the TBM. The standby altimeter is always in inches, so what we can do here is just to go to the PFD settings and change that unit to inches, telling us we have 2974. Now we can set 2974 up here, which is now set. Then we just go back to hectopascals. Little trick that you can use in order to set your standby altimeter pressure. So a little long way around over here, going via Avionics, but I am going to fly this route nonetheless because we are nicely on profile right now and I don't want to get into a high energy approach situation. Lovely view down in Switzerland over here. Okay, we're approaching Avionics. The VNAV altitude restriction is assured, so let's set the altitude down to 4,500 feet, which is going to be our next restriction. That's set and checked. Speed up here should be 180 knots. So I'm reducing thrust, and look at how quickly the TBM is able to lose airspeed. This is really an incredible machine. Overshot the route slightly here, but that is my fault. I've taken the turn a little bit too quick. In case you are wondering why we are seeing so many different lines over here, we have of course our active flight path, but over here this is the missed approach, and this holding over here is part of the missed approach procedure. So that is the reason why we are getting an additional line over here, which may confuse some of you at first, but it is just the missed approach procedure. Okay, the lights are on. And speed should be 150 now. Let's start reducing. So 150 knots is established. So 0.4 miles after Q6 we start our final descent, so let's call it approaching descent. That's 2,280 feet set for our minimums. And for that last part of the descent, we do actually not have any guidance available from the G3000. So let's go ahead and change to vertical speed mode, which we are going to use then to do our final part of the descent. Vertical speed. And we'll level off at Q6. And 5.2 miles from waypoint 760, which is now, we start our descent. 1,000 feet a minute. We're doing 150 knots ground speed, so we're looking at something like 1,000 feet a minute. So, 4 miles from Q6, we should be in 3,820. We're at 4 miles on glide. 3 miles from Q6, 3,400. So, 3 miles, we are like 50 feet high. 2 miles, 2,970. One to go is checked. Need to increase the rate of descent a tiny bit here in order to make the restriction. So, 2 miles and we are about 70 feet high, 1 mile, 2,550. There we are, 1 mile, 70 feet high. That is all within limits. We'll let the autopilot level us off. Then let's change to a heading mode. And overflying 760, we'll disconnect the autopilot. Then we'll manually make our left turn throughout the valley for the approach. Speed should be 135. And here we are, over at 760, autopilot off, flight directors off. That sun is in quite a bad position there. So, speed according to the procedure shouldn't exceed 135. Let's make sure we don't do that. These are the mountains that we saw on the chart previously. Hey, looks like the lake is actually frozen over. That is going to make the judging of the altitude pretty difficult. But we can mitigate that by, once we have the runway on the synthetic vision, we'll just place the 2.5 degree marker right on that runway. And that is going to provide us sufficient assistance that we can actually judge our height. Flying over a snowy or icy ground with little to no visual cues available is probably one of the most difficult tasks that you can encounter when flying VFR. Or when flying visual approaches IFR for that matter. Okay, let's start reducing to our approach speed, which is going to be 85 knots. Over there's our runway. Flaps takeoff. Gear down. Flaps landing. Set them as approach altitude, 6,000. Okay, so we are a little bit low right now. Just look at the 2.5 degree line over there. We'll wait until that is on our aiming point, and then we start our descent. So now. Of course, now that we're getting some visual cues, like the trees or the cars over there, we can also help ourselves by looking outside the window. But that is just a little trick using the synthetic vision that I wanted to show you there. So, gear is down, flaps are down. Let's switch on the inertial separator, because we can see that there is some contamination on the runway. Thrust idle. And we are down. So again, some snow on the runway up here. Let's brake early and then we'll taxi slowly. And here we are. So there is some chance that we might have some contamination on our flaps that might have been thrown up by the engine and by the prop wash during our landing. Therefore we are going to leave the flaps out until we could visually inspect them to be clear of contaminants. And we might turn the propeller anti-ice on as well. We can see there are some tracks over here in the snow. That is something to be very careful of, because when there are tracks, chances are that snow that's been crushed down by the weight of an aircraft over it might actually have frozen and become ice. So that may be especially slippery. So, crossing the road, but we're clear left and right. Okay, we'll taxi onto the factory area and then we'll park our aircraft over there. It is tight, but it fits. Okay, again, lots of snow here. Looks like they didn't clear anything. We'll just turn it on very slowly. And that's it. Parking brake set. So, windshield and heaters going off. Autopilot trim off, aux boost pump, manual fuel selector. Okay, so. And we can switch our engine off. And here we go. So at this point we can do the visual inspection of our flaps. And they look clear on the right wing. And clear on the left wing. Okay, so flaps up. Flaps are up. Anti-ice off. Strobe light off. And power off. So, thank you very much everyone for flying. I hope that you have enjoyed this little first trip in the TBM 930. I hope to see you again on a future video, and until then, thank you very much for your attention. Like, comment and subscribe, and if you really want to support the channel, you can do so through the Buy Me Coffee link that you can find in the video description below. Until then, thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to see you all again on the next one, hopefully very, very soon.